Hello engineers, and welcome back to another episode of Automate It. We are going for 5 stars on World 2 Level 10 Singularity Beach Party this episode. Let's do it. We're trying to manufacture a cosmic singularity, which can be manufactured in a manufacturer at 60 per minute, or in a manufacturer in a different way at 60 per minute. So either way, it's 60 per minute. We have to deliver 60 in 2 minutes 40. So we only need probably one manufacturer, right? Our time is 2 minutes 10 to get the star, 810 power. Sure, let's go for it. We'll have a look at our recipe. What do we need to do to make it? It's a really big recipe. We're gonna need the HV transformer, which we've made in a previous episode, and the Nexus Stellar Singularity, which is, I think we've made this before. It's basically the singularity plus the power cable. So we're familiar with all of this stuff. We just got to pick the best recipe for everything. So we need 60 of each. This one makes 120. So maybe there's a simpler method to make 60. The advanced cutter can make 60. So let's stick with that recipe for now. It requires 120 of this and 120 of this. So if we do this recipe, that gets us our 120, and we need 2 manufacturers making quantum core singularities. Sure. So 60 makes 120, which is what we need. So we only need it to put it through a welder. We don't need to use the advanced furnace. On the other side of things, we can probably go with the advanced cutter method of this, because that makes the 60 that we need. To make the 60 of this, we need 60 of these, which this looks fine. To make 120 of these, we need 60 of these, which is fine. This is going to be the only hard one, because we need 120 power cables. But we need power cables up here for something too, don't we? Maybe we can combine this, because we'll remember there's an alternate recipe over here that also uses power cables. But planning all this out properly is important. So 2 advanced presses make 60 each. So we need double this, 120 of these, which means we need double this and 120 of these. Something like that. All right, let's just get started, top to bottom. We need to wood the furnace into steel first. We need a lot of steel. Do we need more steel down here? Yeah, we need even more steel here. So what are we working with? What are our sources of stuff, and what does our map look like? Our map is just pretty simple. It's just a really big map. We've got wood here and wood here. So we've got 2 sources of wood. What's good for what? This wood comes with, it's really not obvious what goes with what. Let's work down here, because this wood goes with copper and iron, and this wood goes with no copper. So is there a part of the wood that doesn't need copper? This part of the process looks like it's wood that doesn't need copper. We just need to make a ton of steel in this game, basically. Steel, steel. What if we, instead of trying to make these processes, we consolidate? Oh, I don't know. Because consolidating the processes means then we're going to need to transport all this steel all over the place, right? Let's just get started and we'll optimize later. We'll try to make this part of the recipe. So if we collapse this, we just need to furnace some wood. 300. Oh, it comes out as such an awkward number too, so we're not going to be able to utilize all of it. 3 belts of 100. Or we can try to transform this into 5 belts of 60. How would we do that? You can do this using these splitters and the rate limiters. So for example, let's just try it with the rate limiter, right? On the right, for example, oh man, this is super annoying. Oh, you can edit the number. So on the right, if I do 60, I just want to test this rate limiter out. Make sure it works the way I expect it to work. Because I feel like we might need all the wood. Yeah, there we go. We got 2 belts of 120 and 1 belt of 60. I mean, that's great and all. It should be the middle output though, if we were going to do a rate limiting. The reason why it should be the middle belt is because then you would need splitters over this side and this side. I'm just going to do the maximum number of furnacing, right? So we're trying to make coal. So if we put furnaces in here now, And then we can like optimize this down later if we say we don't need to use all of this. But there's our furnaces in. And then we've got another belt of 60 in the middle, which we can just do something like this. Nope, because we need to belt this out at some point. Like that. If you're enjoying the video and you want to support Data Engineer Plays, don't forget to leave a like and hit that subscribe button. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, feel free to share them in the comments section. That's how you turn a 300 output into 5 belts of 60. What else do we have? We have 360 of these, which obviously needs to be split then into 3 belts of this. I'm gonna leave this somewhere for now. And we're just gonna do 3 belts of this with furnaces. How do you put 3 furnaces onto 3 belts effectively? Something like this. So now we've got our 3 belts of iron, 3 belts of that. And then if we get our welder, if we just want steel, this is all steel, right? We should probably use our advanced furnace instead of our welder, just to get the 120 steel out using less. I'm just thinking I can make all the steel I need down here in one go. Although 5 is kind of tricky. Why is the welder better than the advanced furnace? Because the advanced furnace is absolutely massive, isn't it? This is the advanced furnace. So it uses less. But I don't need to use less. I just want to use less space for now. See how much total steel I need for the whole process. Let's do a little quick calculation. For everything put together, I need 360 steel. Which, with 3 advanced furnaces down here, I can just make that. Is that a good idea? I could literally make all the steel for the entire project using just these 2 nodes. Like this. So if I move this down, say, no, I don't want to move it down 1 tile. If I link this one to there, gonna give it myself some room to work. Let's just do a test build. Let's link one of the outputs to that one. We need one of the outputs into these 2. So like that. And then we need our coal, or where would our coal come out? Do 1 belt that way. Like that. And that might need to go a little bit higher. The startup might be a little bit slow in this case. I don't know if this is the best way to do this, but by the cost of 383, that should get us every single advanced thing we need, right? What are you missing? You're not getting your this. See, these 3 belts of this is all good. That's like every single piece of steel we need for this whole build. So we don't have to worry about steel anymore. So let's do this bottom part first. We need 60 of the steel and 60 of the steel. We'll start working backwards a little bit. We need 1 manufacturer at the end of the day. And then we're going to need an advanced cutter to go into the manufacturer. Is there only 2 outputs to this manufacturer? Yeah, there's only 2 outputs. So I put my advanced cutter over here. That's going to be making the HV transformer. And to go into the HV transformer, we need two outputs, which is an LV transformer and whatever this copper bar is, which is just a press, right? So like say that. And then we need a manufacturer to go into here. And that's where the challenge comes in. So these are the three items for the manufacturer. Two of them are steel based. One of them is a furnace and one of them is a cutter. So I'll put my cutter here and my furnace, say, here. And then say a splitter over here. And then we lift it up. Well, I don't know where the lift's gonna go, but I want this thing to be like that. And then we basically just want to bring this over this side somewhere and down a giant lift into here. And that's two of the components, right? The 120 steel sheet and the 60 reinforced steel plate is in there. Now we just need our power cables in here. And our power cables is made out of steel into two furnaces and copper. And we have more copper up there. We can use the copper here. We don't need to do it down here. We can bring more steel down here if we wanted to put it into two welders and two advanced presses. But I don't think we're gonna fit all that monstrosity down here. So let's do it up here. Would love two advanced presses like somewhere over here for the final output to make it. We can make the power cables purely out of copper. We don't have to use steel. It's probably easier making it out of pure copper, isn't it? Advanced cutter and an advanced press. We haven't even looked at what stuff goes here. Maybe it's easier to use this copper to make these. That way it's all sort of together. And then we can just push it to the side and go here. So we would love our advanced presses to be here. Do we have enough copper to do this though? I think we have just enough copper to do this. So we need 120 into an advanced cutter. So 60 becomes 120. Or do we just not have enough? Let's have a look. So let's say we furnace one. Oh wait, we will have enough because you only need 60 of each, right? Let's just split it here. We'll furnace one and then we'll press the other. Like that. That's our 60, 120, and they go into an advanced cutter. Would it be better to just do that? Yup. There's your 60, but we need double that. So we want to do that again, basically. So I just copy this process and put it, say, here. I don't know if facing these separately is a good idea or not, but with these, we just need to put it into this advanced press. So something like that. And we'll use this to turn it as well. But there's your 120 of these cables. And they need to go into here. Something like that. But I don't know how high it needs to go. That height, apparently. We can definitely figure out a way to do this better because we can turn this whole thing this way and then save a lot of belt. But there is your half of our equation done, which is the HV transformer. Wait, that's an LV transformer. That's not a HV transformer. Oh wait, yeah, sorry. That's the LV transformer, which needs to be mixed with this thing here to make a HV transformer. Why are you not coming in? There you go. There's your HV transformer. but it's being made at 30 because we're not getting enough of this. This needs to be 120. Can this all be shifted over 1? Not really. This will be the best way to sort of do this. Ah, then this stupid pole is in the way. Yes, the pole can go elsewhere. There we go. There's our 60 HV transformers. That's one of the manufacturer's outputs. Now we just need to do the other side, which we've done a million times before. We haven't ended up making any of this stuff. But why do we need all this steel that I'm making? I'm only literally using this and I don't need steel anymore. I just need one more steel to make this part. How am I doing for time? Power. I'm okay for power. I spent all this time making all the steel for this process and it turns out I don't even need that much steel for this process. So let me just get rid of some of this stuff because this is like super overcomplicated. And it's just gonna confuse me. I'm just gonna put one belt of that in. And one belt of that in. And then we're just gonna free up the rest of this so I know I don't need it. What we do need is 60 steel, which means we can do it in a welder. So say I do something like this. Then we can get the 120 steel from here. Furnace this like that. I don't think I need any more wood, so I can just take the furnace like that. And there's our 60 steel that we need. We need to cut that into steel sheets. Then we need a cutter to make... Oh, but we need double this. Because we need double this. 120 plus 120 makes 60. My bad. But we can still do this in a more effective way. Since we don't need to do this, we can just put one here. That can go like that. Then we don't even need this craziness. Can't we just take the full belt then? Like that? Because that makes things easier on this side too. We just need to route the 60 coal to the other side. We can go over. We're not going to worry about belt efficiency. I just want to make sure everything works. I'm just going to run a belt around the side. That's not the correct way of doing things because then you can't get this out either. This is not the right way to wrap around and orient this, but it's okay. We're just gonna make sure it works first. Oh, I don't like this. This is like overly complicated. I'm gonna move this up. Just giving myself a little bit of space. Yes, this makes that part longer. But what it does is these two can come out now together and go around the back. And go a much shorter lift path and a lot further out of the way. It's still dirty, but less dirty. Why is this so hard? I don't understand what I'm doing. Alright, there we go. Now it's all working again. And all of that was just to... Well, why did I do all of that? All of that was just to get this out of the way, basically. So that we can have another 120 steel. And that 120 steel needs to go through two cutters to make two belts of that. So something like this. And there's our two belts of 120. And now we need two belts... Oh, I need two belts of 60 now. Wait, what am I doing? I've gone insane. The numbers are just screwing with me here. I'm just gonna leave this because I think I've overdone this again. It's too early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee. Ugh. Yeah, sorry. We just need the 120 from here. We don't actually need 2 belts of 120. We just need the 120 into 2 manufacturers. Let me just put 2 manufacturers down. Like this, right? But also we need copper for this side of things. We still need a belt of 60 copper. Is that the challenge? Because we've used up all our copper and our only belt of 60 copper is over here now. Because we're using up all the copper here. 240, 120, 120. Well, technically we have copper down here. But I can't access the copper down here. Because if I put in a 3-way splitter down here, it's not good. Oh, why is it so hard? I feel like I'm just doing things in the wrong spot. But that's just to make this. I still haven't made this yet, which is going to need the stone and copper. What's the alternate for this? The alternate for this is to make more of this. That allows us to ignore the stone, right? Oh man, there's so many ways to do this. It's like super frustrating. This is the challenge with this 10th level. It's like, which recipes do we use? No, we don't want to do this because that way we need another of these, which is too much copper usage. I'm gonna stick with this recipe. This requires 2 advanced presses and a lot of cutting of this stuff. I'm not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna worry about the copper for now. I still have copper here, right? Yeah, I just feel like I've done everything in the wrong spot, basically. All right, you know what? We're gonna finish the process any which way we can. And by that, I mean, I'm just gonna drag the copper from here. And then I just wanna test if this is even the correct thing, and then we'll optimize. We're trying to do too much optimizing and building at the same time. That's why we're like struggling a little bit. Because I have enough copper here. There's another 120 belt of copper. What? How far up do I need to go? Because I have another 120 belt of copper here, which I can bring over to this side. And then we can cut it. And then that makes our 2 things, right? This is obviously not the most efficient way to do things. Why aren't you getting any copper? Okay, so there's our 120 of that. And into an advanced cutter with support beams. So support beams, we need 120. So we're going to need 2 advanced presses at some point. Let's just put them down to remind ourselves. And into the advanced presses, we need 120 of one of these. So stone blocks is just through a cutter. So something like that. Then I don't need this. So something like that. There's our stone blocks. And then here we just need to cut the iron pipes, which we have a lot of iron, well, on either one of these side. So we need a cutter here and a cutter, say, here. And then we just bring this over like that. Like that. And then a tiny little lift this way. That's a little bit better. Like that. There's our 120 of that. And our 120 of that is over here. This belt is in the way of everything, but that's fine. But with our 2 120, 120, we can put it into a singular advanced cutter. Like this. I'm just gonna lift this out of the way. Yes, I know this is all very silly. I could have just lifted this even further up, but don't worry about that for now. Like that. There we go. We got it. Oh, man. And then all of that is to say we need to bring it into here. Like somewhere into there. And there we go. There's our 60 per minute of this. And obviously we're not going to hit it in time. But let's just run it to make sure it works. Because we can obviously optimize this process a lot more. Look how long it takes to get started because of my terrible thing. It takes a minute just to get started. We haven't even made one yet. Hold on. Let me pause it for a second. Why is this not... No, it is saturated. Okay, everything is saturated. Oh, crap. Why did I pause that? I wanted to see if everything is working. It should be, because I saw some red, but red just means that it's full, right? No space, yeah. No space, because there's too much stuff coming out. But everything is saturated. I wish I could pause it so I can see the belts working as they go. But yes, eventually it saturates, and then we're all good. But obviously it takes 2 minutes to get started, which is not ideal. And we're like 1 second over. That's fine, but at least it works. That's the main thing. At least it works. We're like way over for time, way over for space, and way over for power. Terrible. But that's where the fun comes in. It's time to optimize this entire process. I feel like this is one of those processes where it's actually just far easier to work backwards than forwards. So I'm going to delete absolutely everything that we've done because none of this is correct. Alright, cool. So we know we have more than enough resources to do everything. Let's just create a solution that's slightly better than what we just did. So at the end, we need a manufacturer. And to go into the manufacturer, we need an advanced cutter and an advanced cutter. So 2 advanced cutters go into the manufacturer. But I like the idea of putting the advanced cutter for this right here. But let's put it on this side this time because we know whatever else comes, it'll come from the other side. Into this advanced cutter goes a press and a manufacturer. Or multiple presses and a manufacturer. So let's put the manufacturer in. Into this manufacturer, one of the inputs is the power cables. And I think I found that the best place to do the power cables is probably here. We didn't use the steel over here last time, so maybe we can do the manufacturing of the steel right here. So to get the 120 steel, we want a advanced furnace. Into the advanced furnace needs to go 60 coal, as well as 60 iron. Trying to find a good spot for this. Out of the advanced furnace, we need to split the output and cut it and furnace it. So I'm thinking we do something like this for now. Nah, I don't like that. That's terrible. Do it like this is probably better. That's a very tight advanced furnace. Once it comes out, we need to split this because one needs to be cut and one needs to be furnaced. And that's 2 of the components of that. And we need to mix it with power cables into a manufacturer. So if we get this out of the way for now, and we put our manufacturer somewhere, that's like 2 of the components that we need already. That's not a good way to do a manufacturer though. Why are we unhappy with this now? This is what we want. And then our third component is basically the power cables, right? And the power cables is easy. And this is all coming out at the right amount. Now, instead of doing this over here, why don't we do it somewhere else? Because all we need to do is bring coal here. And we have coal here as well. So alternatively, what we can do is this. We can bring this like out this way. And then say we put our thing this way now. That brings coal in. I like that. And then we can bring the iron in here. So we can do that, right? And then that gets us our steel here now. And then we just do exactly the same process over here. But we can flip it. No, we can't flip it. We can't flip it if we want that there. But now we can get our power cables on this side pretty easily with our usual technique. We'll do it down the bottom. Like this. Advanced cutter. Advanced press. There we go. There's one. Now we need another one. It's not exactly the same. Where can we stagger this to make it really easy to place? Let's move this all down one tile. We'd have to put it here, right? Trying to figure out how to put a second set of this thing in. We need all of this, basically. Something like that. But then we can't get this out. There was a way of doing this, like, really tight, I remember. Like this. That interferes with everything. But essentially we want this, right? There's no way we can fit this little setup going up that way. So unfortunately it has to interfere this way. But what we can do is probably make this a little bit better by doing this. Just like that. That way it's at least facing this way, the LV transformer. And the LV transformer needs to go into a thing with this press, which we can actually use the other part of this. Cool. So we take all of this and shift it out one more tile. What we can do is we can swap this and do that. That keeps it the same, but that gives us another belt of this, which we can take out here and put it into two presses somehow. This is not the most efficient way of belting. Let's reconnect this. So now we've got our LV transformer. We need to still mix it with everything we need for the HV transformer, right? Which is... Wait, is this the HV transformer? No, this is just the LV transformer. We need to mix it with this to make the HV transformer, which is in an advanced cutter. So something like this. Which is fine because we can take that. Then we can bridge it somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. like that. Bridge across. And then we just need to bring these two in here. This is still not perfectly optimal, but it could be optimal enough. But there it is. There's the HV transformer, and that can go out down here somewhere, right? Let's get rid of this. So now we've still got open stuff here that we can use to make things. But ultimately, we need to put everything into, say, a manufacturer. And that's one of the components of the manufacturer. The other one is this, which comes out of an advanced cutter. And into the advanced cutter needs to go this and this. Can we make either of these here? Not really. We can make this component up there. So we need 120 of these support beams, which requires 2 advanced presses and double all of this. Were we not making enough support beams last time? I swear. Ah, yeah, here we go. We put it into an advanced cutter for support beams. So that's the copper and the stone. Oh, okay. So we're using up all the copper here, but we have copper here. But isn't that going to take ages for the stone to come up here? It's the same, whether we do it up there or here. So if we put our advanced cutter here, we just need a cutter for the stone. Do we need copper for anything up here? We do. We need copper for this as well. So we basically need to split this at some point, because this is our last source of copper, right? We're using up all the copper here. There's no other copper anywhere. So we're limited to everything being done here. So this copper needs to be cut. 120 needs to go into the advanced cutter, and 120 needs to go into here. So this belt needs to just come down. And this is where all the time wastage is going to be, basically. But let's see if we can do all these processes down here. So if there's 120 here, and this needs to go into 120 advanced cutter, let's do it there. Let's just put it here. Let's get rid of this. And now we just need to push the 120 stone blocks into here. But the cutter can only cut 60 at a time. So in theory, we would need 2 cutters, something like this, and then merge it. Or we can do that. It doesn't matter where we do that. So let's just do it somewhere like, say, here. And then this can just come up directly into here. Something like that. And there's our 120 of this material. Now we just need to make 2 of these, which is done in 2 manufacturers. So let's put our pattern down first. 120 needs to go into here, so something like that. And the other material for this is steel, which we need to make 120 in a welder. But we've got everything we need to do that down here. So if we just furnace, say, this, then we just build a welder. Like this, we'll turn it this way. That should get us our 60 steel, which then after we cut it, will be all good. Right? But we have to split it, because half of it needs to go here. I'm just gonna put this like here for now. Because some of it needs to go here, which this doesn't really work. Because if I did that like this thing can't come out. If I gave it a little bit of space here, and we just don't overthink it too much. At some point we need to lift it, right? We can optimize the positioning of this in a bit. But we just need to do that. And that gets us our this. And then we've got this. And we need to merge these together somehow. There's got to be a better way of doing this. I don't want to do it like that. That's going to cause too much issues for the other things. So we just did it like this. And we use the splitter here. Let's give it one more tile of space. That way I can put a splitter here. One more tile of space. I can put a splitter and a lift here. Like that. And then we can lift here. And then we just need to lift this. Like that. And that. That didn't work. What are we missing? We've got that thing, we haven't got this. There we go. Alright, with that, at last, we have all of our inputs for our final thing. So we just need to merge these together with this in a advanced cutter. So like here, and there's our one component. And at the end, we just need to put this all through a manufacturer. Like that. Actually, probably better to put it here. Like that. And then we belt that in. And then we're done. Okay, so this is a solution. Are we under power? We're almost under power, so we've got to do some optimizations to do this. But in theory, we should hit our time for this, right? The longest time is this stone coming out. As soon as this stone hits, in theory, we should be all G. I don't think we're going to have any issues for time. Yeah, so we're all good for that. We just need to optimize down a little bit of power and we're done. Looking at the optimizations, definitely here, we can definitely do a lot of stuff. If we rebuild this a little bit better, like for example, having this turned this way is using up a lot of space. So let's like say, if we move this way, that almost changes nothing in terms of belt usage, because it uses like roughly the same amount of belts, right? And we can get this out somewhere. Now that was going into a splitter and this. So we can move our splitter, say here. And this thing can go here. And this thing can go here. Why do you hate this? There we go. That's our two inputs here, already a little bit better. Then if we swap these around, like that, then we move this all back, say one tile. That still roughly changes nothing. But that allows that to go in like that and that to go in like that. And then we don't need that. And that can just go in like that, right? Then that can go in like that. Although, why is this not working? Got the reinforced steel plates, got that. And then we need power cables. Oh, right. That's meant to go here. Oh, okay, that's a little bit difficult. What if we did this? At some point, we're going to need a lift. There's no two ways about that. Like this. And then where can we put the lift? Probably like here. Like this. And that gets us there. But we've used way more power. What? How does this use more power? I cut down so many belts. This part needs to be optimized better. Is there an easier recipe we can use for this? Let's just revalidate our theory. definitely not that. Instead of doing the advanced press, we can do 4 furnaces. But that doesn't change anything. That just changes that. Does 4 furnaces make this part easier to deal with? Maybe. This gobbledygook over here could be changed a little bit. Let's redo this to detangle this part and this part. I think that'll help a lot. Because this gobbledygook over here is not great, right? I think once we detangle this part, everything will be good. So let's put a splitter, say, here. Then we need a furnace somewhere here. And we need a press somewhere here. I've already like memorized how to do this. I say I've memorized how to do this, but I don't remember what is needed to cut this. An advanced cutter. Right? And then from there, we need an advanced press. Like that. There's half of it. And then the other half, if we do it here, we need a press and a furnace. Then we need one of these. And then we need one of these. And that gets these really close. And allows us to go straight in like that. Right? That detangles that part. Then we need to split this out again. Then this split becomes very difficult to do. Because here we need 2 presses to make this part. And there's no way we can change this, can we? Because then we need 2 advanced cutters if we want to use the iron recipe instead. We do have iron here. But fitting in 2 advanced cutters would make this infinitely more difficult. So we'll try to continue with this press method. But here we need 2 presses. But we don't have to do it here because eventually we need to get to here, right? So we can put the 2 presses anywhere. It doesn't change the distance. So we don't need to worry about it too much. We put 1 press here, 1 press here. And a splitter, say, here. Like that. Then we go into the splitter. Then we go into here. That doesn't change the belt distance too much. And it de-obfuscates all of this stuff around. And now we're at 802. And that should be our solution. So it was just about cleaning this part up. By detangling it, you don't want to crissy-cross everything, right? And I think that's it. It took us an hour to get here, but man, it was just because there's so many resources and so many different combinations and ways to do this. It's just about picking the right recipe. And that's it. 5 stars on the last level of World 2 completed. We are number 12 for time, 126. Wow, so there's a lot of room for improvement. Power, still gonna do it in 508, sure. And for space, we're number 7, which is great. But the top place uses 200 less space somehow. In our gallery, we can have a quick gander. How much are we using? Oh, there's, no, this is the 508 power solution, but it's only 4 stars because obviously it doesn't do anything else. But 700 is still pretty good. Here's a 688 power solution. So they're obviously doing something very crazy. They're not using anything in the top. They're not using the stone. Ah, so if you don't use the stone, there's a better way of doing everything over here. I can't really tell what they're doing because of the angle of the screenshot. But yeah, this is Soy Sauce's solution. He's like top of the leaderboard for everything. But yeah, they're doing something crazy over here. You can see what, like a couple of advanced presses pushing something, and then he's doing everything down on the bottom island right next to the exit. Very clever. By ignoring the top island and squeezing everything into the bottom 2 islands, you can get a very efficient solution.